This NBA Best Bets and UFC 302 Picks edition of the Sports Gambling Podcast is brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. You can win up to 100 times your entry with the Underdog Fantasy Pick'em. Sign up with SGPN to claim your special pick and first time deposit offer up to $250 in bonus cash. UnderdogFantasy.com, promo code SGPN. We're also brought to you by the Mega Memorial Merch Sale, 15% off everything in the SGPN merch store with the promo code SGPN May. Act now as the sale ends on Friday.
Hey, this is Larry the Cable Guy, and you're listening to SGPN. Let her run and get her done. Cox.
He's one of those guys who will get penetration.
Welcome everyone to the Sports Gambling Podcast. I'm Sean, stacking the money green with my partner in picks, Ryan, Real Money Kramer. What's happening, Kramer?
Dog. Well, fortunately, we have basketball to talk about. Thought we were going to go a full week before. I was as someone who was fully ready to commit and hate on the NBA.
Yeah,
everyone was whining about it. It was a little bit much, and you know, not a big NBA fan, but it forced me out of retirement. Look at this, Sean.
Oh, look at that, Linsanity. He's got it.
I'm back. This was the tail end of my NBA fandom. I remember I got this shirt. I was hopeful. This was on a clearance rack after Linsanity already happened. Yeah,
that's when you strike. It's like getting Halloween candy in early November, getting your Christmas decorations after the New Year.
Right,
that's when you find value.
You're talking to someone who spent $46.80 on a Tommy DeVito signed jersey this week,
plus EV. Well, you did also get a Mike Tyson, a pretty awesome autographed Mike Tyson. It's a punch out. Mike Tyson's Punch Out. It's a photo, obviously, of Mike Tyson from the game, autographed by Tyson, which is pretty awesome. And then Kramer and I, it had never occurred to me. We were having this conversation. I pointed out, kind of weird. Mike Tyson's Punch Out. You think you would play as Mike Tyson? No, Mike Tyson is the bad guy in Mike Tyson. I couldn't think of any other game. You're not trying in John Madden football. You're not trying to knock out John Madden.
He's just talking.
Yeah, the goal isn't to kill John Madden with your punch, but
I did bring this up. If there was ever an element where you were coach, you would probably be coaching against John Madden. Maybe.
True, there was the All Madden team, but you could play as All Madden. I just couldn't think of another video game where the person endorsing it, Ken Griffey Jr. baseball, you play as Ken Griffey. You don't try and strike out Ken Griffey Jr. Right? It was blowing my mind. It had never occurred to me.
I got to be honest. I'm gonna reach out to the place that I got this because it feels obvious. Like I very quickly created a shopping addiction.
Oh yes,
on dumb shit signed by people. That's gonna look cool in the studio. So like you said, I have a picture of a video game signed by one of the greatest fighters of all time. Explain that to someone in 20 years.
Yeah, it's
this is a mint condition Mike Tyson's Punch Out first or final boss level. I mean, come on. It's awesome though.
It is.
Great way to waste your money.
Ryan, we have so much going on this show. Next segment, we're going to be joined by Lante from the NBA Gambling Podcast, talking best bets for game 5 in the NBA Western Conference Finals. And then Gumby is joining us talking UFC 302 predictions. But before we do that, I was teasing it all week, and now we get to experience it. We get to announce the latest graduate of Degen University. So shout out to Cooper Kersey. You have just graduated from Degen University, and I will read you some of Cooper's application.
Should we stand?
First off, some Degen distinctions. A lot of stuff about how much he bets the Phoenix Mercury. How he failed his biology test because he had the Tampering Leaves game from the Finnish Hockey League on his computer instead of work.
When's the last time a biology test entered your lexicon?
I think he's 19, or at least it was said there somewhere. Curling is my favorite sport to bet on.
Whoa.
This
nice.
is a great one. I coached 5th and 6th grade basketball at the Boys and Girls Club, and there were only 3 teams, and all the parents knew each other, and they had a little game where the parents could place wagers on the kids. Not full player props, but just like my kid will score more than yours, and of course who wins the game. So I had my mom place bets for me, and I benched certain kids based on who we bet on and would lose games on purpose. Looking back on it, that may be the scummiest thing I've ever done, but it is what it is. His Degen statement, I'm going to try to get through all of this, but it's amazing. In the vast ocean of sports betting, where waves of information crash and currents of opinion swirl, the Sports Gambling Podcast shines like a lighthouse on a stormy night, guiding enthusiasts to safe harbor with its illuminating insights and predictions. This beacon of knowledge not only lights the way for those navigating the complex waters of betting, but also serves as a rallying point for a community bonded by a shared passion. As the digital seascape expands and transforms, the task of carrying the SGPN torch forward demands innovative strategies, a deep-rooted commitment to community engagement, and an unwavering enthusiasm for the world of sports gambling. My ambition to propagate the ethos of SGPN is not simply a quest to extend its luminance, but a dedicated mission to enrich the sports betting landscape with the podcast guiding light, ensuring that every bettor, from the seasoned to the novice, can navigate the betting seas with confidence and camaraderie. Despite my strategies and digital prowess, I can't help feeling I've completely missed the mark with this essay written while on the toilet. You didn't miss anything, Cooper. You nailed it. I had to cut some of it out for time, but amazing. Congratulations. Email us podcast@sportsgamblingpodcast.com to claim your cap and gown, aka a t-shirt and Degen University hat, which everyone can get 15% off when you use the promo code SGPN. Joining us on the line from the NBA Gambling Podcast, Mr. Lante Smith. Lante, what's happening?
My guys, what's good, man? I'm doing good. Glad we got some NBA to talk about.
Yeah, it was. I mean, again, what happened to the NBA we knew and loved?
David Stern.
We're David Stern, Scott Foster. I mean, these would both be 7-game series. Instead, we almost had a double sweep. Of course, Minnesota did pull out the victory, got it back home to Minnesota. Now, your first instinct would be like, okay, this is a good bounce back spot for Minnesota, but now we're seeing Mavs catching 5 points, total sitting at 209.5. Money line is plus 160 for the Mavs. I don't know. The Minnesota Timberwolves have been kind of bad at home. Obviously, they lost 2 games to the Mavs. They lost 2 games to the Nuggets at home. And even though they beat the Mavs, I don't know. There's still a bunch of issues. Rudy Gobert, aka the Maginot Line, as I call him. I mean, that's a great reference for my WW2 fans, Ryan.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was going to say we do have a very deep knowledged audience.
Some people will certainly get the Maginot Line reference, but Timberwolves back home laying 5. Are you buying into the T-Wolves here, Lante?
Yeah, man, I like the T-Wolves in the spot simply because I think that Dallas is hitting somewhat of a little wall. Maybe they so basically what happened was the offensive rating for Minnesota going into the fourth quarter has been really high. And when they get in the fourth quarter, they only have Ant to close. And so it drops significantly, like close to like 10 to 15 points. So they're struggling with that offense in the fourth quarter. But I think they kind of had some kinks to fix that. And most of that has to do with Ant getting off of Kyrie and on to Luka, which, I mean, to me, I think it's idiotic that he's playing either one of those guys full time. But I mean, whatever. I would put him on somebody else, like maybe Derek Jones, and have him like roam around so he can spend more time catching his breath and scoring what we need him to do offensively. So I think that tweak kind of helped. And I think we've yet to see a full Minnesota game yet, and we've seen a couple of those from Dallas. So I think that kind of corrects itself. Numbers getting bit pretty much. I mean, Minnesota's been getting bit all series. So I'm not surprised. But yeah, if you want to go ahead and get in on Minnesota like I am, I mean, lock in at 5. You might can find a 4.5 as well.
Shop around, find that 4.5. Ryan, what's your take on this?
I mean, it does seem I feel bad. I was gonna use stronger language, but I don't want to be disrespectful to Lante. It seems to me like this is a very obvious spot, and
obvious spot in which way?
Well, they're dead. Dallas is going to move on. I'm hearing plenty of shows talking about the finals between Dallas and Boston already.
Well, of course, no team has ever come back 0-3.
They finally were able to do something in the fourth quarter, but it does feel like this is. My question becomes: do they let them get one more and close it out in Game 6?
Yeah,
I guess seem like they're fragile at home.
I guess that is the concern. Well, the other thing
Rudy is Luka's bitch.
The Mavs have been good on the road, both straight up and ATS so far in the playoffs.
I would bet the money line like that.
Bet the money line on the Timberwolves. For Dallas. You're on Dallas.
How dare you?
All right.
Assume I was going to play a minus 200 money.
Because I'm going to go. I think I'm going to stick to my guns and take Dallas +5. I think this is a one basket game. I am worried, to Lante's point, I am worried that the Mavs know in the back of their head, hey, if we don't get this, we can come back and close it out at home. I am worried about that. Lante, how do you see it? So you like Minnesota laying 5. You like them obviously to extend the series here. How do you see the rest of the series shaking out from here?
Yeah, well, I'm hoping that Minnesota loses because I got a nice circa weekend bet on Dallas to win the series. But
nice.
Oh hell yeah!
I wrote an article that was published on a website maybe like a few days before the series started. So I had Dallas winning in 6, so I can go 2-0 if they win this game. So it's kind of a mini hedge here, taking that 4.5, 5 in the game. But I do think what happens is that, to you guys' point, Dallas has been somewhat. I mean, you can make a debate. They've been the better team or what have you, just depending on what side you're on. But this is the biggest pressure situation that they've been in on the road. So I think that Minnesota wraps it up. Not wraps it up. I think Minnesota wins the game, and then Dallas wraps it up Saturday at home. You get the Dallas Wings and the Dallas Mavericks all in one weekend. It's a good weekend to be in Dallas.
I mean, I have reconsidered my take on Dallas versus Boston. Also, other teams in Dallas winning championships that aren't the Cowboys is
the theory of everyone winning in Dallas except the Cowboys. I think PFT commentator might have thrown that out. I love that as a Cowboys hater.
Oh man,
it would make them feel that much of a bigger loser.
Oh, that's Jerry Jones.
What if they both win? What if the Wings and Mavericks win one year?
That's
one
beautiful.
Year?
That's beautiful.
Yeah, that'd be crazy.
That is, and it just makes the loser Cowboys look so much worse.
Well, wait, what's going on? It's the Stars too, I mean, God, Jesus Christ, this is.
Yeah, I said the Wings. I meant the Stars. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I thought you were. I just assumed it was a WNBA
team. I'm sorry.
No. Wait, hold on. So the Wings aren't a WNBA team.
They might be. Google that, Ryan.
I want to see if the Dallas Wings are a WNBA team.
See,
I know ball. Hey, by the way, Lante, what do you think? Caitlin Clark, not an athlete, right?
Man, you put me on a tough spot.
I'll take it off of you. Yeah, she's still not an athlete.
Kramer is on this.
People now tagging me and shit about anything positive about Caitlin Clark. I'm getting tagged.
I give her credit though, man. She's handling it like a champ. I'm not gonna.
Yeah, lie. No, I get it. If I was the same thing, it happened. I've gotten hot in a couple games before, put up some points. Then all of a sudden, the best defender on the floor starts guarding me, and the game changes drastically. Yeah. So
hey, Ryan, I mean, me and you both. I know, and Sean, you too probably enjoy a nice 6-hour session of blackjack. So it's just like you hot on that table, and then you see that tap on the shoulder, and they switch them out, and it's like, dang, man, like.
Oh well, it's like the Caitlin Clark 3 is when you got like a 16 against a dealer showing a king, and you hit and you get that 5. Like that's what Caitlin Clark was doing.
I respect.
And eventually eventually you got to know when to color up and be like, all right, little
That's
heat
it.
check. The tide's turned. Time to go.
I'm just saying. I've watched some of these WNBA teams now. There's some really athletic ladies out there. Caitlin Clark doesn't have the.
Yeah, I'll say this
bounce.
too, because watching Caitlin Clark in the tournament and then seeing her transition to the WNBA certainly did make me appreciate the athletes in the WNBA because
she's a great player. She's a great player. She's a great player.
Not a great athlete.
She's not a great.
Send all your comments at Kramer Centric. Lante, before we let you go, what is a player prop you like for the matchup tonight?
Man, I like Naz Reid over 10.5 points. He's been a lot more aggressive at home.
Wow.
I think he's gonna have a monster game. Maybe not 7 threes, but I can see him laddering up to like 5 threes. You can get plus 550 on 4 plus made threes. So I like that as well. Yeah, I think, and Rudy Gobert is going to be on a short leash. I think once if Lively's out, which I think he will be, and they go small with kind of PJ at the 5, I think Gobert would be pulled off the court. I mean, this is no margin for error here. So I think Naz Reid will be on the court a lot. So give me Naz Reid over 10.5 points and ladder up those threes. You can get plus 550 on 4+.
Ryan, this is a perfect transition because Rhythm, aka your source for NBA player props, highly recommend downloading the Rhythm app. RITHMM, get you the 7-day free trial. I fired it up and I was gonna blow Lante's mind, aka steal whatever Rhythm's best NBA player prop would be, and I shit you not, they're number one, where the projection doesn't match the total, is over Naz Reid 10.5 points. So great call by you, Lante, and great call by Rhythm. Make sure you download the Rhythm app, RITHMM, wherever you get your apps, and get that 7-day free trial. All right, Lante, appreciate you calling in. Make sure you subscribe to the NBA Gambling Podcast.
Any closing World War II thoughts as we let Lante go?
No, just Google the Maginot line, and that joke will become that much better. And follow Lante on X at XXLante XX. A lot of X's in there.
Yep.
Yeah, man, a lot of X's. I appreciate you guys as always, man.
Appreciate it. Good to hear from you, Lante. Let
Thanks,
it ride.
man. Good show.
Joining us next up on the line, you know him from the MMA Gambling Podcast, Daniel Vreeland, aka Gumby. Gumby, what's happening, man?
What's up, guys? It's good to have another pay-per-view. And I gotta say, I was looking over the list of names. I love it when we've got some names that are tough to say.
Yes, I do.
No pronunciation key.
I do no prep. I do no work on the pronunciation key. When I actually looked up how to pronounce the names, it disappointed some listeners. So no pronunciation for me. I gotta say, Gumby, what is that hat you're rocking?
Oh, this is Hillsboro Hops. I love minor league baseball hats. That's my jam. So
Hillsboro Hops,
yeah, and that's exactly.
So Sean, as a guy who grew up on the East Coast, you probably saw the Portland Sea Dog gear floating around. That was like the OG minor league baseball like gear to have. But that Hops hat, that is
a sweet logo.
It's a hat of something wearing a hat.
Yeah.
It's very complex.
That's key. And out east now, we also got better minor league teams now than the Sea Dogs too. We got the Yard Goats, which is that is a prime minor league baseball team name right there.
Look
Yard
out.
Goats.
I do respect how they try. They don't just recycle the same old mascots. Like we talk about this with colleges. How we got 15 million Wildcats. Yeah. Get off the, be different. The Yard Goats.
Yeah, come on. Yard Goats also
Hops.
Great at promoting fire safety.
Yeah,
get those, get your bushes trimmed by the Yard Goats. You mentioned real quick the mascot wearing a hat. We had a whole segment on Crashleets back working with Gronk where we got called Going Deep with Gronk. It was just basically ripping off SNL Jack Handy, but having Gronk do it, which was very fun for us to write. I don't know if the kids enjoyed it, but it was we did a Going Deep with Gronk where he's wondering about the Miami Dolphins helmet that the Dolphin of the Miami Dolphins is wearing a helmet with a Miami Dolphin on it. Now, does that Miami Dolphin on it have another helmet of a Dolphin on it? And then if so, where does it end? I don't know if Gronk really got what we were going for. Shout out to Kip who wrote that bit. It was an all-timer, but good times.
Gronk would have broken like the early AI versions. Like, sorry.
Whenever I see the AI thing in Twitter, Grok, I always think of Gronk.
Yeah, why
And
did they
Gronk,
do that to us?
Yeah, I mean, they stole Scarlett Johansson's voice. They need Gronk's voice to do the AI. It would be electric, or just Gronk AI would be.
That's a nice pivot
priceless.
there.
Priceless.
Anyway.
All right, let's get into it. Let's talk a little UFC 302. Man, we got a jam-packed slate here.
Oh,
There we go. Little UFC music. 302. All right.
where are we at?
Where are we at? Main event.
In the beautiful state of New Jersey, at the Rock, home of the New Jersey Devils. Sean, pay your respects. You know Tommy DeVito is going to be in the house. You know I'm going to be seeing lots of Giants on the feed in the building. Very much looking forward to this one.
First up, we'll start with the main event, work our way back. Of course, stay tuned for the ladder play, aka the full mount, named courtesy of Jong.
I like the full mount. It's very fun to say too.
Main event, we got Islam Makhachev versus Dustin Poirier.
Oh,
Poirier?
Come on, Sean.
Okay,
You got to French it up a little bit. Yeah.
Come on.
He's Louisiana. You got to French up to Louisiana.
Poirier.
It's like that weird marbles in your mouth.
Poirier.
Yeah.
Dustin Poirier. Right now, over. Let's pull up the latest odds here. While I'm doing that, why don't you start walking us through this one here, Gumby?
Yeah, so Poirier is a massive underdog in this one, and it makes sense. He literally fought Islam Makhachev's best friend, who will be in his corner, and got decimated by him the last time he fought for a title. Dustin Poirier loves to do this thing where it's just that he jumps for a guillotine every single time a wrestler shoots a takedown on him. It's fun to watch, but it's a terrible idea. And he's gone around saying that he's going to be the Gilly Goose, which is, again, really a funny prank if I didn't think he was being serious. So, like, you see the odds and you're like, man, he is a good enough fighter to be tempted.
Yeah, he's plus 500.
Yeah.
Islam is minus 700. Does he have a shot here?
I think if he went in with like a smart game plan and not like 1 foot into retirement, because he's already talking about like this being it. If he wasn't 1 foot into retirement and he wasn't talking about, trying to pull off some of the weirdest things you could possibly pull off in this fight, I might be tempted at plus 500. But I mean, like, anytime a fighter takes to the mic right before his fight and is like, this might be it. I might be all done. I might not want to do this anymore. Like, and then he's going to go get in a 25-minute fist fight. Never a great idea. If you got 1 foot out the door in basketball because you're watching horse racing highlights, that's one thing. But like, you got to go punch a guy in the face
Ryan?
now. I mean, Ryan, Jokic,
yeah, both apply.
Yeah, both of them apply.
So what are we betting here? If we think the dog's a little too crazy, we're not laying minus 700. What's the play here?
I think the play here is the over. So 2.5 is the over under right now, plus 123 on the over. It's juiced to the under here. And I think the over is the play because Poirier is probably going to put himself in bad positions. He has been finished early in fights, which is why I think it's way juiced to the under. But I think he's also smart enough not to get in like the worst situations right away. Like he's going to get desperate late and probably get finished. But like 2.5 rounds, like I think he should get through 2.5 rounds with no problem. Makhachev also isn't what Khabib Nurmagomedov, his mentor, was before, and a guy who could get him out of there really quick. So I think you see him kind of like play with his food for a couple of rounds before he eventually finishes them. And the fact that you can get plus 123 on almost like a moral victory for Dustin Poirier, that feels kind of good to me.
Yeah, it's like Tiger making the cut.
Right,
You know,
exactly.
hey, there's certain spots where he's gonna go out, but he's not gonna go out like a punk. So
and
I like that angle.
Overs are electric in fighting too. You get that you get to that 2 minute 30 second mark, and you're like, oh baby.
Well, yeah, because if you haven't played over unders on the rounds, it actually is the 30-second mark. So there was always that in my head. It was like, wait, did he have to finish round 3?
Nope.
But no, it's actually, if it's 2.5, it is that, like, the time split in half of that round to get to the over. A co-main event, we got Sean Strickland versus Paulo Costa. Right now, Sean Strickland minus calling it 240. Paulo Costa is plus 200. Sean Strickland coming off he just lost the title recently. How say you? Do we like Costa here? Strickland feels, I don't know. Did he lose his confidence?
I think he lost his confidence a little bit, and I also think the blueprint to beat him is like right there for Paulo Costa. I know people love Sean Strickland; they love the fact that he's crazy on the mic. Although then again, Paulo Costa is crazy on the mic too. The guy shows up with a giant juice box that says secret sauce on it, and like what's funnier than taunting the steroid commission? So I love Paulo Costa in this fight because if you look at the last 2 times Sean Strickland has been beat to, it's been in 5-round decisions to guys who just punch harder than him. Like, he's going to land a ton more punches than Paulo Costa, but at the same time, the ones the judges are going to remember are the ones that are snapping Sean Strickland's head back. And that's happened in both of his last losses, the one to Jared Cannonier and the one to Dricus du Plessis. So I think Paulo Costa, very live dog here. I also think, like, if you're not quite completely sold on Paulo Costa, I think instead of playing Sean Strickland, you just play the over here again, because you're getting plus money on the 2.5 round over again. And, Sean Strickland, not a guy who's notoriously finishing all that many fighters. So, like, you might as well just take the over if you're on that side.
What happens if he loses in front of his commander Trump?
Oh, is he big? He's a big Trump guy.
Yeah, I think they're buddies. I think he visited the White House at least once. I'm sure. Is Trump allowed to attend a fight in New Jersey? I don't know.
He probably has some issue with the gaming commission from his Atlantic City hotel. Who knows?
So do we combine the over with Costa? Is that the juicy opportunity here?
I think so, to be completely honest, because I again think, a lot of people think Costa's got that big punching power, so you might as well take him by knockout or stuff like that. I could see him going all 5 rounds here because, like, again, Strickland is the kind of guy, super durable, doesn't get knocked out. Both of those losses I mentioned were split decision losses too, and just basically because he's not the guy throwing the big hard punches. So, like, yeah, I would take Costa and move him in with the over. I'd take Costa. If I was feeling real crazy, Costa by decision is probably got a great number on it. Again, that one's going to be super sweaty, so you can determine your own appetite for risk.
It's 9-1.
Yeah,
all right.
Come
there
on.
we go. All right, Costa.
Yes, sir.
Let's add that to the sheet.
Yeah, we're getting there.
All right, so Costa and the over looking good for that one. Kicking it back down, farther down the main card, Kevin Holland versus Michal Oleksiejczuk.
Oh, wow.
Not bad.
Oleksiejczuk. Oleksiejczuk. Kevin Holland versus Michal Oleksiejczuk. Right now, I'm seeing the odds. Holland is a big favorite at minus 275. Michal is plus 225, coming back the other way. Gumby, how say you?
I love when I'm talking to somebody about MMA and they just stop saying the last name. See, it's just Michal now. Yeah. This is a Kevin.
Enough.
That's an easy enough first name. This is a Kevin Holland spot for sure. At first I was like, he's moving back to 185 pounds. That's a dumb move. Because down at 175 pounds or 170 pounds, he's way more fit for that division. It seems like he can make it pretty easily. But then they gave him an absolute cupcake matchup up here at 185 pounds. Oleksiejczuk just does not take punches well. He gets knocked out super easy, and they put him in there with a boxer. What's better than that? Plus, he gets submitted a lot too. So I think this is a spot where you just play Kevin Holland inside the distance. Kevin Holland inside the distance is coming in right around even money. So it's not like, you know, if you wanted to pick a KO or a submission, particularly, both of them are like, it's like flip a coin. It's like plus 250 on either side there. But I think like the even money on him just getting the finish here is probably the smarter move because, like I said, he's a better boxer, but he's also a guy who's a knucklehead sometimes and just fights exactly like he shouldn't fight. But Oleksiejczuk should lose whether he's fighting smart or not.
Cracky the Cocaine Bear. He sounds like he's with you. He's like the over 2.5. He likes Kevin Holland, KO / decision double chance. So kind of playing both those and walking there with the profit if you hit one of those. Yeah, I mean, I always like coming up with different ways instead of laying a big favorite. And I feel Jeff, obviously your co-host, always loves a good favorite, but I think getting creative with how to play these favorites instead of just like hammering away minus 300.
Yeah, and the other place you could look for on that one too is that a lot of the books now are offering point spreads on fights, which is after you get to the judges' scorecards, you add them all up. And like, I've seen some where Kevin Holland right now is -3.5. He's probably going to get a finish anyway, so you're never going to see the scorecards. The spread won't matter at the end of the day. And then you're going to make those odds that much better for yourself. So like, I don't mind playing it that way too. You're not going to get quite as good numbers as if you picked a specific finish, but like, that's another creative way that you can make this a little bit more palpable.
So the spread is covered if you finish it early, basically.
Yeah. If you get a finish, like you don't see the scorecard. So you're good there.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I never,
Nice.
I didn't think about that when looking at ways to get down on these favorites. Quick sidebar before we a couple more fights you like here. Kramer and I have been talking about the upcoming boxing match between Mike Tyson and Jake Paul. A lot of questions as to whether this is real. Certainly, to me, I mean, Mike Tyson was just on a plane. He had a medical emergency.
Was it heartburn? He had heartburn.
Well, when they say medical emergency, I think you feel something's wrong with your heart, and then he says he's fine. I'm with you. It's probably something like heartburn that's immediately fixed, because he said he was
Some
okay.
reporters jumped the gun a little bit.
Yeah, he goes, "I'm fine, but I don't need to be fine to beat Jake Paul." I hope Mike Tyson knocks out Jake Paul, and I'm sure we'll be covering it on the show at some point. Yeah, I do.
You're on team Jake Paul.
But Ryan, Jake Paul is an athletic, fit individual in his early, like to mid 20s.
Mike Tyson has taken men's souls.
Yes. Oh, and he also has taken a large amount of cocaine and unhealthy living.
Weed, but he's off his meds. Like I feel,
good. Is it good that he's off his
meds?
meds?
Good.
No, it's not good. But I think it's bad for Logan Paul in this certain.
Is it Logan Paul? Sorry.
Wait, Jake Paul.
What is it? Gumby, is it Logan?
I think it's Jay. I want to say it's Jay.
Yeah, you're right. Jay, it's not.
They're
Logan,
the same person, though, right?
But Tyson has a chance to win, right?
I think so. I mean, like even the books are giving him respect, which, like in most of these influencer fights where one guy's a boxer and the other guy's 80, like for the most part, the books don't give him any chance. And what I'm seeing on Tyson is what is he like? Plus 250, plus 300 the last time I checked. Like they're giving him some kind of chance because let's face it, the guy still does throw absolute haymakers. But at the end of the day, like how many haymakers do you have at 60 years old? Because I mean, like I can't. And plus, all the other things you guys mentioned. Is he on his meds? is he on other meds? Like like all the other things that you could possibly say here. But yeah, like I mean. If you're going to watch that fight, you're not going to lay a -450 favorite somewhere in there. Like you're going to look for something. And plus, like, as Sean said, who doesn't want to see Mike Tyson knock somebody out at 60?
Yeah, no, I'm there. I will be rooting for Tyson, and I may even bet on him just to show Ryan I'm serious. But it's not a bet I feel great about.
Sean has been poo-pooing the idea that Tyson has any chance to win this fight for months.
I'm really skeptical about Mike Tyson's fitness.
I'm watching sweet hype videos, and he's just like, whatever.
Ryan, I mean, we shared. Mike Tyson did some recording at the studio at the Win.
Yeah.
Some of the behind the scenes people shared some stories again regarding Mike Tyson's potential health that did not inspire an ability to compete at a high level in boxing.
They said he was a gentle giant who became very
friendly. Well,
and then became very intimidating when he got aggressive, kind of like a pit bull.
Yeah, that kind of tracks.
We got a couple more best bets here from Gumby. He's got a lot of plays for UFC 302. If you're looking to get down over on UFC 302, great place to get some action is underdogfantasy.com using the promo code SGPN. Get a free special pick for new customers and a deposit bonus up to $250. I'm looking at the UFC 302 card here. We just talked about Paulo. I mean, they have some pretty interesting ways to play Paulo. Any thoughts on Paulo in the underdog fantasy market here, Gumby?
Yeah, I like the over on his significant or the higher than on his significant strikes. He's the type of guy who's going to be in there for 25 minutes probably with Sean Strickland, and that number that they've got listed right there is on the lower side. And the reason is because like I think they think if he wins, he's going to knock him out. But like, again, if you don't have the appetite to play Paulo Costa as an underdog, why not play him on underdog with the higher than strikes? Because like, even if he loses, he's going to fight for 25 minutes, and that's going to get you the higher than then.
I'll be honest.
Oh, you
they
nailed
have
that
right. They have some spicy plays here, including you can get higher a half submission at 13x, which immediately caught my eye. I know Gumby was going to try and talk me out.
Too
of
much
it.
spice.
Yeah, that's too much spice. That's too much spice. He ain't going there.
You're going to get some Mike Tyson heartburn.
Pro tip: do not touch your junk after handling that level of spice.
All right, underdogfantasy.com promo code SGPN, and I'm sure the MMA Gambling Podcast guys will hook you up with some more plays over there and ways to get down. Another main card fight. We got Jailton Almeida versus Alexandr Romanov.
Okay.
Right now, I'm seeing these odds. Romanov is the dog at plus 205. Jailton Almeida is a minus 250 favorite. Who do you like here, Gumby?
Yeah, I like Jailton Almeida. I think he should be a negative 500 favorite, to be honest.
Wow.
Like, I think he could be twice as high. Like, this is one of those ones that, like, I'm just throwing into a bunch of parlays. Romanov is a big dude who, like, pretty much anytime he doesn't hit a takedown, somebody stuffs one of his takedowns or somebody takes him down, he quits. One time he, like, got kicked in the nuts, and I'm going to put the air bunnies on that one. He got kicked in the nuts and then, like, just was like, no, this is very much too bad to keep going because he had gotten tired and he didn't want any more of it. Jailton Almeida is one of the most athletic looking heavyweights you're ever going to find. That is a big Brazilian right there. And he went in and wrestled one of the best wrestlers in the division in the last fight, took him down 10 times and eventually got caught with something and wound up not winning. I think just the fact that he lost is the only reason he's this small of a favorite. He should be twice as big. And his KO prop is plus 350, which I think is kind of likely fighting a guy who's good at submissions and wrestling, and a guy who quits so much. So, like, I don't mind that either.
So, Sean, earlier today there was talk. We were watching the NC State spring game, and there was talk of DJ Burns playing tackle because, of course, he was a big fella playing basketball this March. Well, Sean, he was listed at 6'9", 230 pounds.
Yeah, no way. No way.
Almeida here is listed at 6'3", 241, and he is fucking jacked.
Yeah.
There's no way these two, like, he's 9 pounds heavier than DJ Burns. Best part about that is there were like posts on social media where DJ Burns somehow has lost 45 pounds since playing basketball at 6'9", 230.
He's 190.
Anyway, yeah, you want to talk about, like, this is LeBron versus the Joker when it comes to a body fat or BMI conversation. This is insane. All right, so how are we? What's the bet then? Because I'm all in on this one.
Yeah, I like him. I like him on just the money line if I want to, like, squeeze him in a bunch of parlays and stuff like that. But I'll also take the KO prop. The KO prop's 350.
Ooh.
I think it's only that high because he's hit a bunch of submissions. Like, he's taking people to the ground and it's clear he's just trying to, like, squeeze their head off. But Romanov is pretty good at submission defense. I also think he might not want to be on the ground with a guy that big, and he's just going to tool on him on the feet. So.
Yeah. All right. So Sean, write it down. It's I'm seeing +3. Yeah, I'm even seeing a +370.
I like that even better.
While you guys were talking, I already fired on Underdog Fantasy. Jailton Almeida higher on his half knockout, which is spicy, and then Paulo higher 95.5 significant strikes. This is a great thing about hosting the show. I'm hosting, and I'm also getting down action.
You know, it's like being
mid conversation,
a judge on like a cooking show. You get to taste good food the entire time.
Yeah, I don't know how to make it, but I can judge it and I can chime in and keep the show moving along.
Al dente? Get the fuck out of here. It was pretty good though.
All right. So do you have any any other spots like maybe on the undercard? You always, I mean, I know you've been dominating on the regional MMA action. Again, like
it's the FCS of fighting.
Yeah, there's like, I mean, look at how we destroy the UFL. Like these markets where people aren't paying attention. If you can get action on, and the guys do a great job of covering some of these deeper markets in the MMA.
If you're into that kind of thing,
if you're into that, if you're into some regional MMA winners, which I feel like
not everyone's into that.
We've got a show coming up Monday where we're going to be breaking down some fights out at the Czech Republic, which is they got a promotion called Octagon, but they spell Octagon with a K.
Of course they do.
It's just what you need there. So make sure you tune in on Monday.
Well, I'm seeing this June 8th. All right. Yeah. They spell Octagon OKT Agon. So yeah,
I'm in.
That sounds dangerous.
So who do we like Gumby on the undercard here?
So one of the ones I like on the undercard, and this is the one I told Jong I'd throw the full mount on here too. And that's
let's go.
I like Phil Rowe in his fight with Jake Matthews. So Phil Rowe, just an absolutely massive dude for 170 pounds. He's like 6'3" and 170 pounds, and he cuts like 30 or 40 pounds to get there. He's gonna have a 7-inch reach advantage over this Australian guy he's fighting. And the Australian guy, if you like look back at his resume, it's like the worst aged resume in history. Like all of the guys he's lost to have slowly like gotten terrible and like been fired, and all of the guys he beat are in nursing homes. So like it is one of those ones where I think Phil Rowe is an absolutely great spot for an underdog, but I also like him in all the other ways you could play him. So his money line right now, I saw plus 135. If you want to get him inside the distance for with any kind of finish of any sort is plus 275. So I like that one as well. And then if you want to play it all the way up into a specific finish, I actually like his submission prop here. He's a guy who's been doing a bunch of submission competitions, like getting ready for the fight and whatnot. He's fighting a guy who's been submitted a couple of times in his last couple of fights. 750 I'm seeing on the submission. So like, you know, and by then you're already on the profit, even if he wins. So like, you know, why not get a little sprinkle on the top there?
Why not get a little sprinkle? This is why Gumby works for us, right?
Sean, this guy has a 1-inch leg advantage, a reach advantage in this fight, but a 7.5-inch arm reach advantage.
Damn.
Think about the physics on that right there.
I know how they measure an arm, but Gumby, how do they decide where the leg officially begins? Like, do
they go from the base, or how does that
I know.
work?
I don't know how close they get to the base. I'm going to be honest.
As a guy who's measured some things below the waist, I feel like you can really... There's a lot of subjectivity as far as where you officially start, how stretched out your leg is.
Yeah, is it cold in here?
And while he was explaining that, Ryan, I did fire on a Phil Rowe higher a half submission with Naz Reid higher 10.5 points over on underdog.
Yeah,
12x.
I was gonna say I got distracted making sure I was getting into this full mount, this plus 750, but then. I had at the same time I got distracted because in that Octagon event that Gumby was talking about, Sean, there's a guy named Shemrock.
Yeah,
Shemrock.
Shem
space rock. Anyway, stay tuned. I'm gonna have to tune into this episode.
He's explosive too. A lot of fun, Shemrock.
Great name.
I mean, elite. He's British.
We got some comments and questions here from Cracky the Cocaine Bear. He points out John Jones is the best UFC fighter ever, and he's done more cocaine than Pablo. Does cocaine equal elite fighter?
Crime pays.
I think for a short window, maybe, but I feel like that eventually catches up to you.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that John Jones only made it to a couple of his fights is probably a deterrent to his earning potential. Yeah. So that's probably a downfall there.
Well, I mean, and him and his brother both.
Yeah.
I mean,
ooh, that's a fall, man.
Yeah. Unfortunately, some loose wiring over there, but elite athletes. And he also Cracky the Cocaine Bear, again, maybe biased with his cocaine take, but he says the Khabib by submission on Saturday is calling my name. Any thoughts on that one? Gumby?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're looking for a way to make the Russian submission artist get, the prop look a little bit better, I think that's probably the way. Like, I know he's come up with a couple of knockouts recently, particularly the one of Volkanovski. I don't think he's going to knock out Dustin Poirier. Dustin Poirier is a better boxer than that, and he's bigger and all that kind of stuff. So, yeah, if you're looking for Islam Makhachev inside the distance, I think that's probably the play, is the submission. But again, I think just the over and like letting this fight materialize, like even if you just wanted to play Islam and over 2.5 rounds, I think that's probably the better play.
And then we have another question. I think the guy's username is just S, but he wants to know, what's your verdict on the Islam staph infection rumors? Any truth to that, Gumby?
God, every single time I've seen a rumor about somebody having a staph infection, I've gotten it brutally wrong. I've either told people, don't worry about that. And old UFC heads will get what I'm talking about here. Don't worry about Kevin Lee's staph infection. He's probably fine to fight Tony Ferguson. And then it turned out he wasn't fine. 2 rounds into that fight, he had no gas tank. Same thing with Dustin Poirier beating the Frenchman, Benoit Saint-Denis. I was like, don't worry about that staph infection. And then every time I've told people to worry about the staph infection, I've been wrong, and that person has won very easily. So I'm going to tell you, maybe this is the reverse jinx. Don't worry about Islam Makhachev's staph infection. I'm sure he's fine. He wouldn't fight if he wasn't fine. And then maybe I'll get the reverse.
All right. I love that logic. Gumby, any other plays you want to give out? Any other things you like on the card that we haven't broken down?
Yeah, I'll just throw one more out there. I mean, I've been all in on Basil Hafiz going into this fight card. His numbers started off real close to in the high -100s, low -200s. He's ballooned all the way up to -400 in most books. But at the same time, I think he's going to win by knockout, and that one's +300 too. So I've been sneakily making sure he still is of some kind of value this late into the fight week. But the guy has had one fight in the UFC. It was a split decision loss, and it was to the number 5 guy in the division, Jack Della Maddalena. So everybody sort of thinks that he's, a one-trick pony and he can only do one thing, but he's got huge knockouts when he was on the regional scene. So if I had to throw one more out there, it'd be Gennady Basil.
Basil, nice name.
It's a great name.
Yeah, all-time name. All right, Gumby, let's close it out with a lock and a dog. You've given out a bunch here, but if I had to pin you down, aka a full mount.
You want a mountain?
What would be your lock and your dog here?
So I'm going to take for the lock. I'm going to take Kevin Holland inside the distance. It's just barely over even money here. I think. Look, he's fighting a guy who gets finished all the time. He's a guy who likes to go on and put on a show. It's a big fight card. I'll take Kevin Holland inside the distance. And then for an underdog, I think I'll just go with the over 2.5 in the main event. I know I've been harping on that heavy, but I really do think this is a fight that goes 3, 4, 5 rounds. And I think Dustin Poirier survives while he doesn't look particularly great or doesn't, blow anybody out of the water, unless the staph infection is real. And then in that, I'll still take the over 2.5 because I still don't think he gets Islam out of there before 2.5 rounds. So, for my lock, I'll take Kevin Holland inside the distance, dog over 2.5.
Dog.
Kramer, what is our official play? I think the Paul Costa just as an underdog feels right to me.
You want to do him with the over or just take him by himself?
I'm gonna make it my lock and my dog, Paul Costa.
Not decision +900. I'll lock up Costa decision 900.
Okay.
And my dog will be, let's see, Phil Rowe submission +750.
Yes.
Yeah,
my dog is Phil Rowe submission with Nasreed higher 10.5 points. So what Kramer has, but just a little more value for my clients. Better. But Costa, I love the handicap. I like the matchup there against Strickland. I do think from watching that fight, Strickland did seem a little rattled. So
quick update.
Yes.
Shamrock. Sean, he now has 709 followers on X.
Oh, okay.
Shamrock MMA. Gotta get this guy on the show.
Gumby, always appreciate you hopping on. Make sure you follow him on X at Gumby Vreeland, and make sure you subscribe to the MMA Gambling Podcast. Ryan, when we talk tomorrow afternoon, we'll be talking Premier League soccer and Premier League lacrosse.
Whoa!
So stay tuned for that. Should be a super fun episode.
Super Premier squared.
P squared. Let's go.
Thank you for participating in the Sports Gambling Podcast.
For the Sports Gambling Podcast, I'm Sean, Sack of the Money Green. He's Ryan.
Nice job, Sean
Kramer. Let it ride.